Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today, I'm going to continue the topic of historical logic, thoughts, how Hegel did it. So, this is the third part. I think probably this will be the last one if I don't have anything major to add to it. But I don't know. Maybe if I thought something important, I'll still add to it. But please keep watching if you watched the previous two, and so that you can understand what Hegel means. I think Hegel is difficult, and I watched a few internet, uh, mostly in YouTube, the professors, Hegel specialists or expert philosophy professionals. They explained Hegel and from either one side, one idea or another, and or explaining his text paragraph by paragraph. And I really admire their efforts. They tried very hard. I think there's a doctor called Sadler. He did every paragraph for the phenomenology of spirit. Wow, it's a lot of work, trust me. Well, but the problem at the same time, I feel that it's not that Hegel's words are hard to understand. It's even not his ideas are hard to understand. You know, at the end of the book, either the logic, the lesser logic, or the science of logic, or the phenomenology of spirit, there's a notes by Professor Findlay to summarize each paragraph and one by one. So if you read that, basically you get the idea what Hegel is saying. But so the problem is not that we don't understand his words or even paragraphs or even ideas. The problem is what is the relationship or logic between Hegel's ideas and the rest of the philosophy. What's the relationship between Hegel and his predecessors, like Fichte, like Schelling, like Kant, and what's the relationship between Hegel and Heidegger, or even I say, how about Schopenhauer? How about Nietzsche? How about Wittgenstein? How about Husserl? Or even my instinctology and absolutology. That is important. That's by that I mean how Hegel connected the historical thoughts or logical thoughts in history. You know, Hegel claimed that his system is a culmination of all previous philosophy history. All the major points is in his system. Well, I think he is right. And I wanted to say that to my instinctology and absolutology too, but I don't want to say it. I want you to be the judge, the audience to be the judge. See if it is. But I really compared Hegel's system like Columbus voyage and versus the instinctology and absolutology as a Magellan's voyage. One day, I think you will understand it. Well, learn some Chinese, please. And or translate it into the English or German or whatever, French. You will understand. You get my point. And I'm not either exaggerating or boasting or whatever, bluffing around here. And you'll see what I mean one day, sooner or later. Schopenhauer says truth can wait because truth has a long life. And that's happened to him. I think it will happen again to instinctology and absolutology. Wittgenstein is lucky, and he is a genius. And he's another genius. There's another genius that's called by Bertrand Russell. They are together. What a luck. Do I have that luck? I don't think so. It's almost impossible. Things happen like that. In Chinese, we say 千里马 and 伯乐. You need to have two. That is a horse which can run 1,000 miles. Nobody can recognize that. He's labored like any other horses in the group. And nobody recognized that horse till one day a guy called Bo Yue came over and know, oh, that's that horse, that is special. Okay, so how can have two happen at the same time? Very rarely, all right? But anyway, everybody has to die, and so do I. So I don't care. After I die, I think one day it will. And that will be a long time. All right, something aside. In this part, I want to give you the view of general picture rather than paragraph by paragraph, idea by idea, concept by concept to explain Hegel. I want you to see the logical link. What's the entire picture of Hegel? All right, that's my purpose. In other words, how Hegel was related to other people, or what's Hegel's logic related to each other, to the rest of philosophers. All right. Okay. Speaking of logic, I must let you know when Hegel says logic, it's not logic like we think it today. Not the logic, the formal logic, in any sense like that. When Hegel talk about the science, it's not the science we understand it today either. In German, science means inquisitiveness, asking questions. That's another general meaning of the word science. But in English, we don't have that sense, right? In English, when we sense, by sense we mean the natural science, like Newton science or Einstein science or physics, we think is science, biology, chemistry, or whatever. But we don't mean the science in that sense. So that's need to be added to it. All right. The big picture for Hegel, we have to remember this. The world equals to logic. Logic equals to mathematics, and the mathematics, most important of which is natural numbers, because they are natural. And what they are? 3, 2, 1, if you like, 0 from India. But now let's treat about 3. All right? Hegel's point is 3. Remember that part. Well, by the way, if you want to do philosophy, remember this. You want to touch numbers. You want to summarize your system into a number, because math, the number, the natural number are the world. The world is the mathematics. By that, we come to numbers. That's one thing. If you want to do something, I just add this note. All right? Okay, let me write this down in case, because it's so important. All right? Okay. The world equals logic. The world equals math. Logic equals math. Math equals 0, 1, 2, 3, natural numbers. Hegel deals with especially number 3. Remember that part. I may add this at the beginning. I hate that. It always screws things up. Let's make it worse. Okay. Relative, the relative equals the world. The world equals logic equals math equals something. Relative, you can say equals something. All right, that's a little bit digress here. It's come into my instantology and absolutology. But for Hegel, remember this part. From world to here. All right, that's a part Hegel deals with. If you want to know more, and later you can add the rest. But now I don't. All right, just let you know as a footnote. Okay. In Hegel's lifetime, he published systematically 2 books. One is this, Phenomenology of Spirit. The other is The Science of Logic, this one. So the 2 books he published. Other things either too small, or it's a collection of something, or he edited from others, like encyclopedia, or from students' notes. That doesn't count. Okay, so major thing are the 2 books. When Hegel published this one, and Kant said something like, if it's a philosopher, you have to write something like 800 pages. Otherwise, you cannot be called a philosopher. That makes Hegel nervous because this is his first book. And if you count it, it's 800 books, 800 pages. All right, roughly in German. Well, this is English version. Well, according to that standard, Kant said Wittgenstein cannot be counted as a philosopher because in his time he only published 1 Tractatus. It's only 80 pages. How can he be counted as a philosopher? Well, you tell me. But he is lucky. He met Bertrand Russell, right? But I really think Wittgenstein is great. One day I'll talk about him too. All right, let's talk about Hegel. Continue with this one. All right, what I'm going to say is, what's the relation, what's the whole idea of this book? What's the general picture of this book? I don't give you paragraph by paragraph explanation. I want you to see the whole picture of it. And what's the whole picture of this book? What does Hegel want us to know from his idea? Remember, Hegel said again and again, nobody understood me. Oh, even one person, and only one person who understood me. And even he misunderstood me on his deathbed. He is difficult. What is his difficulty? I didn't see any other people in the YouTube when they write Hegel or something. They mentioned the philosopher, the pre-Socratic philosopher Parmenides. I didn't see anybody mention that. That guy is the inspiration of Hegel. His idea of thoughts are the world. That is hard to understand. How can you say thoughts are the world? You make a dream is the world? Well, there is some explanation by that. And how thoughts can be the world. How they can be identical. That makes Hegel's idea difficult. Hegel inherited this tradition. This is tradition. And then later on, I inherited this one too, into instantology and absolutology. That's another case. All right, here, when Hegel writes something, He always had that idea in his mind. All right? So, Phenomenology, as his first book, he basically gave a blueprint for his entire system later. That's called Encyclopedia of Science. In the history of philosophy, philosophy of the social philosophy, the ethics, the any other parts come out of this. Okay, this is the foundation of Hegel's entire system, and this has many traces or footprints from Schelling, from Fichte, and if you read more, you can see his their footprints in this book. For example, for Fichte, self or absolute I is everything. The knowledge, Fichte published a book called The Science of Knowledge, all right? The knowledge, the absolute knowledge, how knowledge and connected with the I, with self, or not, maybe called ego. It's all melted down into this book. And then later on, Schelling mentioned the nature. What's a reality that circumvent self, circumvent consciousness, and the identity of self with reality. That's in Hegel's book too. When Fichte said, the secret, the only secret is the trio, the dialectical trio, 3 stages: thesis, antithesis, synthesis. So Hegel's way of expanding Hegel's structure is not his invention. He got it from somebody else. But the important thing is Hegel systematically put it together. See the guy? His idea of reason and the concept, he elevated to such a height that's even inherited from Parmenides. Okay? But the thing is, that is important and correct. That's a truth. Okay? Another Hegel's point is the teleology thing. From whom? Aristotle. The advancement of ideas, of concept, of reason, from objective to subjective to universal, that route by ideas. That Hegel combined Aristotle's teleology with Parmenides, with his understanding. That is important. But I have to mention one thing. I think Hegel is not right, and I didn't think that is right. He thinks, or at least he implies in logic, in this book, the potentiality or the hidden logic, the priori logic, made the nature or the reality, or expanded, embodied itself as reality. Here he implies the idea of creation. From idea, it creates life, it creates reality, it creates nature. No, that's not right. All right. So, but that's my opinion. In my system, I didn't do this right. I think that's wrong, actually. But Hegel's stuff is still, I think, till his time, is a culmination of all previous philosophers' stuff. It's really, really great. There are a lot of things to be said about that. Okay, and that's what I'm going to say here. All right, I'll write something about Hegel and let you know his ideas, basically structure of his book. All right. For example, in his phenomenology of spirit, it goes like this. All right. So phenomenology of spirit, POS. Okay. All right. Okay, first I want to like a Gödel's number. I want to make my numbers clear enough. All right. Plus with brackets, large brackets means thesis. Minus with brackets means antithesis. Plus and minus means synthesis. All right. Okay. Here's Hegel's goal. First, plus consciousness. All right. Then antithesis, you know it, self-consciousness. All right. Consciousness be denied by self-consciousness. Self-consciousness is a negation of consciousness. Why? Because consciousness is abstract or universal consciousness, or hidden logic actually here it means. Okay? That's the idea. All right? So consciousness, then self-consciousness, that's a logical way to go. Then next one, synthesis. In this one, it becomes reason. All right? Okay, so consciousness denied by self-consciousness, then synthesized by reason. The three, put it there, it become, use the last one, okay? This is reason. Use this one, all right? This is result, sublated result, okay? Then what is to negate reason in POS? Here Hegel says first, thesis is spirit. Okay? And if you notice here, reason, it becomes lively, become individualized. So it's a spirit, sort of a self going forward, moving yourself. Okay? So it's a spirit. Hegel called it spirit, individualized thing. All right? Then after that, how to negate self liveliness called spirit, you guess it, culture group. All right? So group of culture negate self spirit. All right? That's Hegel's way of reasoning. Then synthesis, here it become morality. All right? See, plus, minus, and minus plus. Synthesize it. See the logic here? Hegel goes. All right. Okay. So this one, morality or ethics, to deny is the antithesis to reason. That's in phenomenology. All right. Here is a plus. Here is negative. Here's the antithesis of reason. Okay. See, here's logic. Then third one, what is that? Morality as a group become religion. So I should add thesis, then antithesis, religion is a sort of a tenets, dogma. Ask you to perform some duty. You don't have free thoughts. Okay? You are required. There's a command to do it. You follow the will of religious God or something. All right, that's what required for religion. So here, as a negation, it's art. Okay, you got freedom here. You have creativity. That's a negation of religion. All right. The last one, what is the synthesis of art and religion? Looks like Hegel run out of categories, run out of choices. So he thinks it's the absolute knowledge, absolute knowledge. And here the structure a little bit broken down, and Hegel is a little bit far-fetched here, and we can see that. And in Chinese we say 虎头蛇尾, means you have a tiger's head, you have a snail's tail. That means when at the beginning you are very gigantic, you're very ambitious, and at the end you run out of steam. So it sort of wrap up quickly. And I think a lot of writers had that feeling. And I think I had that feeling too. Sometimes the system is like that. So for this one, it's knowledge you can think about as a synthesis of reason and ethics. This is phenomenology, the whole picture. Okay, I give you like 10 minutes to summarize the whole picture of the logic of phenomenology. All right. Okay. Remember, let me repeat, phenomenology is a blueprint for Hegel's later entire system. In other words, all the categories, all the ideas here in phenomenology, in the young Hegel, will project into future, will be fulfilled, enriched, and make it in detail to make it solid for his entire encyclopedia of the science of philosophy. He will go this way. All right? Okay, so remember, the POS is the entire blueprint. You don't treat POS as separate from logic. Think logic is something that is additional to POS. No, wrong. It's not like that. All right? If you think that way, you don't understand Hegel. All right? Hegel has only one system, one core idea. That is the system, the reason, all ideas. All right? He thinks that is absolute. Okay? So, in this sense, when Hegel used the word absolute, as does Schelling, as does Fichte, even later on as Heidegger, use the absolute as attribute, as adjective to describe something. Okay? So for Hegel, it's absolute idea, or absolute concept, or absolute reason. For Fichte, is absolute self, absolute ego, absolute I, or absolute knowledge. For Schelling, is absolute nature, or absolute consciousness. Okay? Everybody has absolute, but absolute is adjective. Till, I don't want to say it, but you have to realize, till the absolutology and the instantology, the absolute itself become a field of study. That's called absolutology. We don't have that English word yet. One day Webster dictionary will add to it. We don't have instantology either. So it means at least make me feel that I didn't just copy other people's stuff, right? And so make me feel better. But the idea is you have to expand logically from Hegel onward, from Heidegger onward. It's not absolute being either. It's absolute itself. Got this idea? That's another part, okay? Let's extend. Okay, let's talk about the logic. This book, the logic thing, all right? What's the structure? What's the whole picture of this? okay? The logic is something. It follows the same blueprint of POS. All right? It goes by thesis, antithesis, and synthesis too. All right? And the first part is, if you want to add, you can add itself. It's called first part OB, objective. Okay? It's objective logic. Okay? OJ. I should say OBJ. OJ. Okay? OJ. Objective logic. In this one, we have first, we have a being. Then we have nothing. Oh, a small part. I should say here, the first one is being, and nothing is part of being. All right, it doesn't come here. So, well, let's don't do this. It's this being, nothing, and becoming. All right, this small part of it. And actually, the negative of that one is the essence. Okay, so negation of being is the essence. So the empty structure, the pure form of Plato's idea, that's being, right? We need to negate it. We put stuff in it. We must have a determinate being. That is essence. What's the essence of it? That's Hegel's idea, all right? And here, if you say, what is being after essence? What's here? Hegel didn't put it. So his structure didn't quite fulfill to the perfection. You want to put one here? I'll say it's instance. All right? In my instinctology, it's instance. It's the combination of two. That's in the macro world, macro, macro world. All right? You can neglect this part for now. All right? So this is objective logic. All right? Negation is subjective logic. All right? Subjective logic. All right? You should got this. Okay, the first one, thesis is notion. Notion is a dim idea called a notion. Okay? It's a notion. And it's a general or it's hidden, it's a fuzzy. Or it's underneath, not very clear. What is the negation of notion? Here is subjective. Subjective. That means it is realized by somebody. Of course, Hegel means himself. All right? So it's become subjective. But subjective is not the end. It must go on to create reality or nature. That's Hegel's idea, I must stress. I didn't say that. I don't want to say that. But Hegel says it become objective, subjective, then object. All right? Objective. That's Hegel's idea. All right? So, look at the structure of logic. Objective logic, subjective logic. And what is the synthesis then? Hegel didn't say. The structure fell off here. All right? And he just mentioned briefly, he called it absolute knowledge. Absolute ideas, not knowledge. Knowledge is the previous word. Maybe it's translation from phenomenology, all right? But here he says it's absolute idea, AI. All right? That's his idea. Okay, but follow the logic. It should be. If you want to write a sub-value volume to Hegel's work, what do you put? You got it? You must write the universal logic. So UL. That is to synthesize object logic and subject logic in this logic. Okay? Even in the last logic, and the logic of encyclopedia, Hegel didn't quite get to the point of universal logic. He didn't do it. He didn't realize this. According to this structure, you have had this. All right. Okay, this is structure of logic. This is structure of POS. Okay, so the whole idea here I want to stress is Hegel's idea of reason or idea and teleology and system which are powerful stuff. For example, how about teleology? We know in Aristotle we have sufficient reason, we have teleological reason, we have efficient reason. This idea, it's something going on without our control. Sounds like ridiculous, right? And religious people always say that's God will, but we philosophers don't say that. But what it is, read the debate, listen, watch the debate on the YouTube about evolution versus creationism. I think a professor called a Mayer, some Mayer something, studies the structure of DNA, RNA, study the structure of eyes. You think that will be made by chance? You shake the clock, it will become a one whole clock one day? Maybe before the end of this Big Bang, it won't. You won't have that chance. You have to believe teleology thing. You have to believe. But we don't say it's God. We say that's the absolute. The absolute. You have to believe that. Because there's a plentiful of reasons to support it. That is why evolution can, for so long since Darwin's time till now, cannot terminate, extinguish creationism, cannot exterminate the idea of God. Since science advanced for 500 years, and lesser and lesser people believe in God. God created this, God created that. Let's say the earth thing, the sun, the heating central system, the Copernicus revolution. But, here's the important but, the major idea is a starting point. Religion says God created a life. God exists. That idea is the same as in philosophy, as the absolute. We call it the absolute. You have to believe that because there's plentiful of evidence. You just cannot do it by chance. Probability won't work. It takes too long. You don't have that enough time to do it. So far, how long our universe? 13.7 billion years. That long cannot shake a clock from parts to the entire clock by chance. You cannot do it. The eyes, the structure of eyes cannot be this perfect. The DNA sequencing, the DNA structure, you cannot have that go by chance to be like that today. Here, I must stress one important thing. Evolution versus creation. One doctor, I think he's an educational doctor. I forgot the name. Some Wallace or something. He stressed why humans cannot produce a horse, or from a horse we cannot become a lion. Hegel tells you there's a difference between quantitative and qualitative difference. Darwin observed the claws of the birds, the beaks of the mouths of the birds, or even the crocodiles, the animals from the sea to land, the migration. That can be done. But across a species, that's a quantitative change. It cannot be done. Why? This is a dualism. That's in instantology, called absolutology. If you want to study, we can talk about that more. Okay? Okay, that's a little bit far. But here, let's come back. My point is, you have to understand Hegel's point. Okay? In essence here, in this part, there's a quantitative to qualitative difference, and that is synthesized by measurement. We don't want to say all Hegel's 270 categories are exact size. He is a little bit far-fetched. He makes the contradictory, the fighting, the antithesis always like that. It's a little bit exaggeration, it's a little bit too much, but you have to admit, if you see it from a big span, big range, historically, thesis, antithesis, and synthesis has some truth in it, or probably more than that. Like if you move forward, you always go left first, till somebody say, oh, it's too left. Then you go to right somehow. Oh, it's too right. Somebody will say, no, we don't want that right. Then you move forward. By changing from the extreme of left and the extreme to the right, then you pull back, then you go forward. Just like skaters, the ice skaters, or humans. You walk sideways, you could move forward. All right? Do you think without slavery, now we could have the idea of human rights? Why China doesn't have it? Why India doesn't have it? Why only in the West we have it? Because we have a slavery idea. We had that system. We once treat people cruelly. And we know from that mistake, human beings need a freedom. Without a bad thing, how can good thing come up? So there is a price to pay for the ideas. It only comes with a bad thing at the front. I write that idea somewhere in the article. If you read more, you will understand. So they are not incompatible. They are one outside, one is inside. The virtue is always inside, and the vice, the evil, always come out. Once greedy, produce the government restriction. All right? The motivation of selfish, making money, benefit the public. You have to have this idea. This is from Hegel, systematically put forward, and from ancient Greek philosophers, many people. Okay? All right. I think so far I explained Hegel's ideas. So for these two books, I hope if you have questions, you can write in the comment. I'll try to answer and think about that. And well, if I feel something major, I'll still make another movie. All right. Thank you very much, and see you next time. Bye.